Each year, the graduating class nominates and selects their beloved speaker. And this year, they have selected Ms.Geromini.
Thank you. Good morning, parents and guardians, trustees, alumni, relatives, friends, and my fellow faculty members and administrators. And a very special good morning to the graduates. Students, I want to thank you for trusting me with this honor. When I arrived in my office on the morning of May 24th to find a letter in my chair releasing the news that I had been chosen to speak today, I was incredibly flattered and then quickly became very frightened. My colleague David Canfield happened to be walking by to witness and hear my reaction. He then accompanied me downstairs to the 8th grade forum because I wanted to thank you all right away. I arrived to find you in a class meeting working away on something, and I simply said in a cracky voice, "Thank you, everyone. I promise I won't let you down." Almost instantly, a member of the class answered, "You had better not, Miss G. We can take it back, you know." When folks ask me what my favorite day of the year or what my favorite tradition at Meadowbrook is, the answer is always graduation day for many reasons. And I will tell you, it's not because I always wear black and white on this day. I'm sorry, blue and white on this day. Truthfully, I'll admit, from my seat, I feel a sense of victory and relief. However, and more honestly, during the ceremony, I usually look at each member of the class and think about the journey and change each of you has had over the course of the year, and I become pretty sentimental. I will never forget my first graduation here, which was for the class of 2011. I had just started my new position at Meadowbrook in the spring of that year. I attended all of the year-end events, not knowing anyone, especially the students. I sat next to the faculty and was very impressed by the fact that I received a flower from a graduate who had no idea who I was. I was then encouraged to join the receiving line that follows the program, and I fell in line and proceeded to shake a lot of hands awkwardly. It was coming to an end when I caught the eye of a young man in his Meadowbrook tie who made his way up to me. I simply said, "Congratulations and good luck." He looked me straight in the eye and with his firm handshake said, "Thank you and good luck to you too. You're gonna need it." I also remember thinking, now why would he wish me luck? What does he know that I don't know? And as time has gone by, I realized what he meant. So now, over a decade later, I've had the honor of working with over 460 8th grade students to help guide them through their secondary school journey. I've certainly learned that the job that I do here is challenging, and part of that challenge is juggling the individual needs and aspiration of every student and family. In fact, that graduate was right. I've needed some luck along the way. You might remember on March 10th, we had an escape day of fun. My hope was to get your minds away from all the worries and stress of that particular day. We ended that day with a circle in the forum. I told you all that everything was going to be okay and that you were all ready to go to high school. I also said that you were more ready than any other class we've had graduate in the last decade. You may have wondered why I said that. That's because you've learned far more than facts and figures and languages and how to swab your nose 2 or 3 times a week. You may think that academic information is all you have learned, but friends, you've learned so much more. You are chock full of skills that will not only take you far in high school, but in life. You've developed character, compassion, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, empathy, and compassion. Most importantly, my friends, you've gained a ton of fortitude by going through middle school during a time of intensified and widespread racism, a life-changing pandemic, and a global upheaval. You've lived history before your very eyes and have experienced events that have left a long-lasting impact. They have forced us to confront a lot of scary realities, and yet you have stayed focused and pushed through. I know this because I am lucky enough to see exactly what your teachers say about you. I know why all of the high schools you will be attending are super excited to have you join their communities. I wanted to share with you some direct quotes from your teachers. They've written these comments either in your recommendations or on your report cards. Remember, they're confidential. I've omitted the actual names of students, obviously. Number 1, this student is always attentive to their learning. They will be the student sitting up, listening closely, and contributing as frequently as they can. Number 2, this student works tremendously well with others in their class, understanding the value of both leadership and followership in the context of group work and balancing each role deftly. Number 3, they offer clever ideas, willingly engage in projects, and work for the betterment of all. They have grown vital to the class's core. And 4, this student is a strong and loyal friend. They offer encouragement when others are having a hard day, a push in the right direction if someone is straying off the path, and a shoulder if someone needs support. These are actual compliments that your teachers have written about you. Through the years, I've had many conversations with our graduates about how prepared they have felt for their next school. They constantly mention how Meadowbrook taught them to write an analytical essay, a lab report, debate, question, lean in, try something new, make a mistake, check in with the teacher, look out for one another, and yes, do design thinking projects. The key to a successful high school experience is to continue to be oneself. Take calculated risks, do something for someone else besides yourself, and keep your head up. And by this, I mean your phone is not reality. There's a beautiful world out there, and while you're walking down the street on your new high school campus, look around, up and ahead, and put your phone in your pocket. Coaching of all kinds has always been a big part of my life. I've always known that the words that come out of my mouth, those of you who know me well know that I got started in my admissions career over 30 years ago by coaching and recruiting for a Division I university. Coaching has always been a big part of my life. I've always known that the words that come out of my mouth can have a lasting effect, not only on the students, but on parents too. I always seem to sneak in a coaching metaphor or pep talk phrase here and there that has been said to me at various points in my life by my own former coaches and mentors. I also have a reputation of being honest and positive. I'm not afraid to say it when I'm wrong, and this is perhaps one of the most important pieces of advice I want to give you today. Be humble. Be humble when you get to high school. Give yourself room to be curious. Yes, you've been given this excellent education, and you know a lot about a wide variety of things. Still, don't be afraid to admit when you don't know something. Risking mistakes and owning them create learning opportunities. And know that leaders are the ones who ask the questions. If you do know the answer, know that there are others out there who may not know, or they may know more. And remember, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I just snuck one in. Participate, sign up, try out, audition, raise your hand, use your voice, mediate, meditate, design it, prototype it, show up, be early, stay late, clean up, finish what you start, and most of all, do your job. There's another one. When you don't know what to do, do what you know. Trust the process, and most of all, know you've played in bigger games. And if you haven't played in a bigger game, know that you will have when that one is over. And one of my favorite passages, which has always been posted on my bulletin board in any office I've ever occupied. If you work hard enough, sacrifice enough, then you will win. That's what many coaches teach, or should we say preach. It might be more honest and healthier to say that if you work very hard, you will be excellent, and because of that excellence, you will do great deeds and win great prizes. Unless, of course, you don't. Because sometimes the other player is better or luckier. In which case, you simply have to be satisfied with your excellence and the dignity of your effort. Class, your efforts that you've given us over your time at Meadowbrook have earned you a Meadowbrook M. You've arrived now at the moment where you are transitioning from a student to being part of our alumni. Please, don't ever forget where you came from. I just snuck another one in. Now each year we ask the 8th grade class to think about leadership and legacy. Let's talk about what legacy is for just a second. A legacy is the richness of an individual, or in this case, a group's life, including what that person or group accomplished and the impact they had on people or the place. For example, my good friend and colleague, Mr. McLean. For the last 15 years, Mr. McLean has been a champion of multicultural affairs and diversity inclusion at Meadowbrook. He taught us how to interact meaningfully with one another and started many programs to keep our community moving forward in the directions it needed to go. He opened doors and conversations, asked the tough questions, and challenged the status quo. As head of our middle school for the last 6 years, he will also leave us with his stamp that joy and challenge can happen in tandem. We will remember his legacy at Meadowbrook far into the future. You should know that classes leave legacies too. We recently hosted the class of 2018 on campus for an informal reunion. We get to hear snippets of their journey through high school, along with their hopes, dreams, and plans for the next 4 years. We also read back to them their Meadowbrook M's. It's a great tradition and one that is always memorable for the alumni. After the graduates left campus that day, I realized what their legacy was at Meadowbrook, and some of those members of the class are here today. The students of the class of 2018 pushed our community to be a more inclusive and safe community for all. And by that, I mean they were open, supportive, and welcoming enough to allow LGBTQIA+ members of their cohort to be open and honest with each other. That was big. They took risks that we had never seen in our middle school history, and the impact they had on our school carries on today. So I ask you, class of 2022, what legacy have you left? As you know, in September, I meet with each 8th grade student to help them prepare for their upcoming admission interviews, or simply to check in with each of them. I often say, it's time to think about stretching your leadership muscle, to take the initiative, to volunteer, captain, get on stage, help with tours, raise your hand, sign up, reach out, and engage. Simply, it's time to lead. In class, you should know, when I said this to one of your classmates, their reply was, Ms.Geromini, I don't even know what that actually looks like. Because for a third of my 6th grade year, I was cooped up at home every day on a screen. Then for my entire 7th grade year, I was stuck in the Eureka Lab with 20 other students and the same 4 teachers every day, and I couldn't even talk while I ate. I never got to see any other students, never mind what it looks like to see the 8th graders leading the way. So tell me again, what does leading at Meadowbrook even look like? To that graduate sitting right over there, that was perhaps the most honest thing I had heard from a member of this community at the beginning of this year. I should tell you, I didn't really want to talk too much about COVID-19 today, but how can one not? Having gone through what you have, how would you know how to lead at school? You never got to see the 8th graders in action for the last 2 years. And most importantly, your middle school experience has been anything but typical. As I began to think about your legacy as a class, it suddenly became abundantly clear to me. Class of 2022, you will be remembered as the class that brought us back to who we are. You've lifted our community off of our knees and back onto our feet to a full program. You dove right in, not knowing what to do or how to do it. Still, you got back on stage, you got back on the fields, you went back to the art studio, you started building again in the lab, and you got on a plane and went to Costa Rica, and some of you hadn't even really left your home or your neighborhood for the last 2.5 years. You went under the lights, back into the forum, back into music and singing, back to leading electives, back to the chariot races, and you showed us how to let it go with an absolutely amazing musical performance just last week. You've inspired our youngest students. You engaged in our community in a truly authentic and intentional way, despite the complications of our world. You carried us out of the dark and back into the light that always shines on our school. And for that, we thank you. That will be your legacy. Class of 2022, thank you again. And I know I speak for everyone in this room. We wish you all the best of luck, but something tells me you're not really going to need it. Thank you.